Steve, this race is incredibly tight in the home stretch.
Yeah, absolutely, Kristen. One thing we have noticed in the last couple of days, this is not all of the polls that are out there now, but we have seen a number, 4 in the last 4 days, that have shown very small, but in the context of this close race, potentially meaningful movement in Trump's direction. I don't want to overstate it, but at the same time, it's hard to ignore these 4. The CNBC poll came out the other day, has Trump ahead by 2. The Wall Street Journal poll, Trump ahead by 3. These are national numbers. Siena and the New York Times, a tied race. CNN, a tied race. The significance here is broader movement. Again, we're seeing in Trump's direction.
The Dems are indeed panicking as Donald Trump, of course, continues to make gains across many different voting blocks, and this can no longer be denied by the mainstream media. And of course, a reason for this is because Donald Trump is crisscrossing the country, sometimes giving 2 or 3 events per day, appearing on big shows like Joe Rogan, and bypassing the mainstream media to get his message out. And of course, this led to a huge event in Madison Square Garden, where Donald Trump is making a play for New York City. Now, do I think he's actually going to win that? Probably not, but it could help tremendously in him actually gaining the popular vote, as we can see the polls turning in this direction. Now, of course, that made this a very dangerous event to the left, and they did everything they possibly could to castigate anyone in attendance, including this coverage from MSNBC.
But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally, a rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. Now, against that backdrop of history, Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
You know something, Trump maniacs? I don't see no stinking Nazis in here. I don't see no stinking domestic terrorists in here. The only thing I see in here are a bunch of hard-working men and women that are real Americans, brother.
So the main line of attack from Democrats over the last few days has been Donald Trump is a fascist. He's embracing Nazism, and all his supporters are just as bad as him. And here we have in New York City a very diverse crowd, right? You have Hispanics, you have blacks, you have Asians, you have whites, all coming together to, of course, come out and support Donald Trump. But the media can't have that, right? They have to spin this any possible way they can to actually hurt Donald Trump. But it's not going to work because people can actually watch this with their own eyes. And what I want to bring you today, of course, is a few of the highlights from many of the several notable speakers. So let's go ahead and check this out. Please like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
You see, I got 3 kids. They're all boys. And I'll be damned if you're going to have some school tell my boys that they can now be girls. Not on my watch. Not on the watch of Donald Trump. I can promise you that. We're going to have common sense in America again under Donald Trump. We're going to get men out of women's sports under Donald Trump. America will take its place again as the shining city on the hill, as the leader of the world, as the #1 nation, as the great experiment, because he's going to fix it once again. And together, New York, and around America, we are gonna make America great again. God bless you, New York.
Identity politics never works in America. When you select somebody on the basis of their race and their gender, it always ends up being a disaster. And I'm actually talking about Tim Walz this time, by the way. It goes both ways. So listen up, guys. Last year, I became the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll tell you something about my generation. We are lost. We are hungry to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Yet we can't even answer what it means to be an American today. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. Faith in God, patriotism, hard work, family. These things have disappeared only to be replaced by wokeism and transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide. These are symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning in our country. And our message to Gen Z is this: you're going to be the generation that saves the country. You want to be a rebel? 18 years old, stand up on your college campus and call yourself a conservative. Be proud of it. Say you want to get married, have kids, raise a family, and have a good job. That's how we win in America.
Here is the choice that we have. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for Dick Cheney, and it's a vote for war, more war, likely World War III and nuclear war. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them, and who has demonstrated already that he has the courage and strength to stand up and fight for peace. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for open borders, where known violent criminals and Islamist terrorists are streaming across our borders, placing us at risk. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for secure borders and safe communities, and a confidence that he will seek out those who seek to do us harm and get them out. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for economic hardship, high cost of living, poverty, and homelessness, and a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for economic prosperity and opportunity for every single one of us as Americans. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for censorship and a complete erosion of our fundamental and constitutional rights and freedoms. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for someone who will defend freedom and every one of our God-given rights that are enshrined in the Constitution and Bill of Rights.
Well, that's quite the diverse group of Nazis there, isn't it? But Donald Trump, he of course is so diabolical, so evil, that he can trick all types of minority groups into giving him their full-throated support, right? But that, of course, is what's so frustrating to the folks on the left, right? Donald Trump has this simple, straightforward messaging. We are no longer going to put up with all this crazy gender ideology. We're no longer going to put up with our youth having no future, right? We're no longer going to put up with Kamala Harris, for some reason, being held up as a banner and a standard for free speech and prosperity throughout the nation, when all of that, of course, is patently false, all right? And this is the message that Donald Trump and his supporters can give directly to the American people. We no longer need these mainstream media gatekeepers, right? The ability exists to bring all of this directly to the people, and that is wonderful to see.
Donald Trump's going to win. He's going to win. I know that that's true. Why is Donald Trump going to win? The people he's about to defeat have no idea. And they're panicked. They have no idea why people like Donald Trump. And their first theory was, well, Donald Trump is evil, so half the country's evil also. And that's one of the reasons they spent the last 4 years trying to destroy the country, because they're mad at its voters for liking Donald Trump. How much easier would it have been just to pause for 20 minutes and ask yourself honestly in some silent place, why do people like Donald Trump? And if they had been honest enough to ask themselves that question, they would have come up with the two main reasons, and here's what they are. The first reason that people like Donald Trump is because he likes them. That's why. And it's real. Affection is something you can't fake. I don't care how many times Kamala Harris would tell me she loves me, I don't believe her. I saw her kiss her husband with a mask on. A mask on. And the second reason that people love Trump, and I put myself in this category, it's why I'm here today, is because he's liberated us in the deepest and truest sense. And the liberation he has brought to us is the liberation from the obligation to tell lies. Donald Trump has made it possible for the rest of us to tell the truth about the world around us. And that's the single most liberating thing you can do for people. If you want to enslave people, if you want to degrade them, force them to tell lies. And they have. They forced us to lie about everything at gunpoint, effectively. They put people in prison for refusing to lie. And not just the obvious lies that men can become women or Vladimir Putin blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. No, honestly, he did. January 6th was an insurrection. They were unarmed, but it was very insurrection-y. Not even the obvious ones, but the big lie. You know what the big lie is? The big lie is that they're impressive. That's what the big lie is. That the people in charge have somehow earned the right to rule over you, and they haven't. And you know that. These are the single most useless people in the United States. They have no skills whatsoever. They've got 3/4 of the money, and they didn't earn it.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook. And America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country. And I will bring back the American dream. We need the American dream to come back home. Our country will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before. This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of gross incompetence and failure, or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We will achieve success that no one can imagine. We will have the strongest economy, the most secure borders, the safest cities, the most powerful military, the best trade deals, and we will dominate the frontiers of science, medicine, business, technology, and space. And I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again. I'm asking you to dream big again. We're going to dream big again. We haven't been dreaming big at all. This will be America's new golden age. It's going to happen quickly, too, very quickly. Every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands. Next Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've done a terrible job, that crooked Joe Biden has done a terrible job. You've destroyed our country. We're not going to take it anymore. Kamala, you're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired.
So Donald Trump, of course, shows up and speaks for an hour at this rally. And honestly, the messages were all positive. Sure, we're dunking on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the horrible state of our economy, of our borders, of the world in general, right? But we know we can bring it back to what it was. Donald Trump opens with that simple question from Ronald Reagan. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago. If you're not, chances are you're just normal working class, somebody who wakes up 9 to 5 to support their family. Okay, that's where we're at. And Tucker Carlson actually raises a great point, right? The leadership in this country, the elites, the Democrats, the leftists, even the Republicans, who are all part of that ruling class, they do not like us, right? They disdain us. They want to take away our ability to govern ourselves. They want to put themselves in a position of power or authority, become a new autocracy, right? That's what they want. But we're not going to let them, because we have the Constitution. We have the ability to vote. Unless, of course, the radical leftists do exactly what they've been doing, shipping in millions of people, taking away all types of accountability, all types of guardrails for voting. That is when we are truly defeated. And that's where we have to be careful. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.